The massive theatre in Dublin, Ireland, glowed with blinding lights as the first audition of the day began. The audience buzzed with excitement, but the energy shifted the moment a thin teenage boy stepped onto the Ireland's Got Talent 2025 stage. His name appeared on the screen: Miguel Santos, Cebu City, Philippines. He stood awkwardly at center stage, shoulders slightly hunched, wearing a worn-out shirt and faded trousers that clearly told a story of poverty. His shoes were too big, clearly borrowed, and his hands trembled as he held the microphone. One of the judges leaned forward and asked gently, "Miguel, where are you from?" "Cebu City, sir," he answered softly, his accent thick, his voice barely above a whisper. He explained how his father was a fisherman who earned just enough to survive, and how singing was his only escape from hunger and hardship. Some people in the crowd exchanged doubtful glances. A few quiet chuckles floated through the room. When asked what he would perform, Miguel hesitated. Swallowing his fear, he said, "I will sing Elvis Presley." The reaction was instant. Laughter rippled across the audience. One judge raised an eyebrow in disbelief, another smiled awkwardly, clearly trying not to judge. A third judge shook their head slightly, whispering something to the others. The contrast was painful, a poor boy from Cebu daring to sing the king of rock and roll on an Irish stage. Miguel felt his cheeks burn. His eyes dropped to the floor as memories of being mocked back home flooded his mind. Still, he took a deep breath. He whispered a quiet prayer, gripping the microphone tighter. The laughter slowly faded as the music cue began to play. In that fragile moment, before a single note was sung, no one in the room believed him. No one, except Miguel himself. The soft instrumental intro filled the theater, floating gently through the air. Miguel closed his eyes, blocking out the bright lights, the judges, and the hundreds of strangers watching him. For a split second, his mind drifted back to Manila City, where he once sang quietly on crowded streets just to earn coins for rice. His chest rose with a deep breath, and then he sang. The first note was low, rich, and unexpectedly powerful. It cut through the room like a sudden clap of thunder before a storm. The laughter from moments earlier vanished instantly. A wave of silence washed over the audience, thick and heavy, like rain falling over Manila at midnight. People froze in their seats, unsure if what they were hearing was real. One judge's smile disappeared, replaced by wide, stunned eyes. Another leaned forward so sharply their chair creaked. The third judge slowly placed a hand over their heart, whispering, "Oh my God." Miguel's voice carried a haunting depth, mature beyond his years, filled with longing, pain, and quiet strength. It didn't sound like an imitation of Elvis, it felt like a soul speaking through his music. As he moved into the second line, his confidence grew. His shoulders straightened, his trembling hands steadied. The poor, shy boy from Cebu was gone, replaced by a performer who commanded the entire hall. The audience didn't move. No phones, no whispers, no breath. Even the judges forgot to blink. A single tear slid down one judge's cheek without them realizing it. Another judge nodded slowly, as if accepting something profound. In that moment, Miguel wasn't just singing, he was breaking expectations, dissolving prejudice, and rewriting his fate with every note. The silence wasn't empty anymore. It was full of awe. Miguel's voice grew stronger as the song moved forward, rising and falling with aching emotion. Each note felt heavier, as if it carried the weight of his life. In his mind, he saw Davao City, long days under the scorching sun, helping his mother sell dried fish, counting coins that were never enough. His voice began to tremble, not from fear now, but from memories that refused to stay buried. He reached the chorus, and something inside him broke open. The sound that poured out was raw and honest, filled with longing and quiet desperation. Tears welled in his eyes, spilling down his cheeks, but he didn't stop. The pain only made his voice stronger. Every word felt like a confession, every note a cry from a boy who had known hunger, rejection, and loss far too early in life. At the judges' table, emotions exploded. One judge clenched both fists, jaw tight, struggling to stay composed. Another shook their head slowly, eyes shining with tears, whispering, "This is not normal, this is pain." The female judge pressed her fingers to her lips, tears rolling freely now, no longer caring about the cameras. The audience felt it too. A woman in the front row wiped her eyes. A man beside her swallowed hard, his chest rising unevenly. No one clapped. No one moved. It felt wrong to interrupt something so deeply personal. Miguel lifted his face toward the lights, voice soaring as if reaching beyond the room itself. In that moment, he wasn't just singing Elvis, he was telling the story of every poor child who dreamed in silence. His voice cracked slightly at the end of the phrase, and that imperfection made it devastatingly real. The judges exchanged emotional glances. They knew it now. This wasn't an audition anymore. This was a moment they would never forget. As Miguel approached the final lines of the song, the air in the theater felt impossibly heavy. His voice softened, then swelled again, trembling with emotion. Images of Bacolod City flashed through his mind. Sleeping on a bamboo floor, sharing one meal a day, listening to his mother hum old songs just to hide her worry. His eyes were red now, tears streaking freely down his face, but he sang on, pouring everything he had into the moment. When he hit the last powerful note, it rang through the hall like a final heartbeat. The sound lingered, echoing long after his voice faded. For a few seconds, there was nothing. No clapping, no cheering, just silence. Deep, respectful, overwhelming silence. Then the judges stood. One judge slammed both hands on the table, tears falling openly. Another judge covered their face, shoulders shaking as they cried. The female judge rose slowly, wiping her eyes again and again, completely unable to speak. Cameras zoomed in as their emotions spilled over. This was no performance reaction, this was human pain meeting human truth. One judge stepped away from the desk and walked toward Miguel. Kneeling in front of him, voice breaking, they said, "You didn't just sing, you made us feel your life." Miguel collapsed to his knees, sobbing uncontrollably. The poor boy from Cebu, who once sang to empty streets, now stood at the center of an emotional storm. The audience finally erupted into a standing ovation, applause thunderous and endless. But the judges were still crying, hands trembling, faces wet with tears. Bacolod's hunger, Cebu's struggle, and Miguel's pain had crossed oceans. That night, the judges' table was no longer a place of judgment. It was a place of tears. Miguel remained on his knees, shoulders shaking, as the applause thundered through the theater. Gold confetti still floated in the air, catching the stage lights like falling stars. His mind drifted to the narrow alleys of Quezon City, where he once slept listening to distant traffic and dreamed of a life beyond survival. He never imagined this, never imagined standing on a stage in Ireland, with the world watching and his future changing in real time. The judges gathered themselves, though tears still clung to their faces. One judge took a deep breath and spoke first, voice unsteady. "Miguel, people laughed when you said Elvis. They laughed because they didn't see you. But tonight, you made us listen." Another judge wiped their eyes and added, "Your poverty didn't weaken your voice. It strengthened it." Then the female judge stood, her hand hovering over the golden buzzer. Her lips trembled as she said, "This isn't just talent. This is survival. This is truth." Without hesitation, she pressed it. The explosion of gold stunned Miguel. He covered his face, crying openly as the judges rushed the stage and wrapped him in a group hug. Cameras captured every tear, judges, audience, and performer all united in emotion. The shy boy who once sang quietly to avoid being mocked was now embraced as a star. The crowd chanted his name. "Miguel, Miguel." He looked up, eyes wide, barely believing what he saw. From the slums of Quezon City to the biggest moment of Ireland's Got Talent 2025, his life had changed forever. They laughed, until this shy Filipino boy sang Elvis, and made the judges cry.